Hello, welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone's doing okay. Thank you very much as always for tuning in. So even more blind buys to show you, even more, same as the last video I did on some blind buys. This time though, this is a competition entry. Now I've never done a competition entry before. This one was set by Craig Danger, the vinyl record player. Admittedly, up until now, a channel I didn't actually really know about, but I have now subscribed and I've been watching. So yeah, good channel. Do go and check it out. Obviously, the tag will be in the title of this and the description. So the challenge is to show, I think it was around 3 to 5 blind buys, obviously talk about them, and include one that didn't really work out. So yeah, without further ado, let's get on. Right, first out the traps, we've got this, which I don't think I've ever shown before. Right, proper blind buy, this one. This is by the Babyflies. It's their second album and it's called A Colourful View. It was released in 1989 and it's on a label called Resonance. So, this one was acquired from one of my favourite shops ever doing this hobby in Chichester called Helter Skelter Records. They have a knack for being very, very cheap. Their prices are very, very low. But what I've always found good about it is there is always a really, really good selection of kind of post-punk indie new wave. It's always really good and interesting, and it's full of stuff that you've just never heard of, and it's always cheap. Now, this was one of them. I just stumbled on it. It was £4, which is, yeah, easy to take a risk on. I liked the cover, and that was it. I didn't even look it up on Discogs. I just bought it. Anyway, I love this record. I really, really do. It's so good. It is kind of a late 80s indie pop album, but of the highest order. Female vocals, and the vocals are kind of just silky smooth, but it's got a real kind of neo-psychedelic vibe going on. I would say the only thing that lets it down is sometimes lyrically, the lyrics are a bit uninspired. They sound a little bit amateurish at times, but I'm not much of a lyrics person anyway, but sometimes you just notice these things. But anyway, fantastic record, really, really good. Yeah, the punt played off. So as I say, it was on a label called Resonance. Proper good indie label. I think they only brought out records in either the US or in like continental Europe, like Germany or the Netherlands. As soon as I got into this, I then checked the label out on Discogs, and it turns out they've got loads of interesting releases. So I've actually bought other albums on this label as a result of this blind buy. So not only do I love it, it's led to other things. So yeah, a very, very good start indeed. You will find this on Discogs. It's not expensive. They've done 2 albums, so I would urge you to check them out if you can. Okay, another example from the same shop and the same section. Wasn't bought at the same time. Also £4. I've got it on the outer. Now, I have shown this before, I think. Now, I always forget. This band, I think they're called Naked Voice, and the album's called Forgotten Frontiers. I always get it mixed up for some reason. I mean, it's easy to, if you look at it, especially if you don't know who they are. So again, it was in the same section of post-punk, new wave, indie, etc. So I went for it, £4. You can take a punt. Again, great stuff. We're talking kind of, yeah, mid-80s, a kind of indie vibe, slightly post-punky, little bit of a goth sound going on in there. I'd certainly say for anyone who likes things like Echo and the Bunnymen, Gene Loves Jezebel, Icicle Works, those sorts of more well-known and successful bands, you'd probably get on with this one. And again, there are copies for sale on Discogs, and last time I looked, they weren't very expensive at all. And again, proper indie release, this one. This is on a label called Lambs to the Slaughter. I'm pretty sure there's not much else on the label. In fact, I'm quite sure it's the only full-length album on the label. I think there are singles and things like that. But yeah, it's just a real kind of oddity. And you just think if it wasn't there at that time, I'd probably live my life and never sort of own it or hear it. But yeah, for £4, it really did pay off. And again, comes highly recommended. Next, we have this. Now, I paid a little bit more for this one. This was a bit more of a risk. This is, what's it called? No, Excess is Absurd by Magic Hour. I just really like the look of it. This was bought in a record fair in my hometown here of Portsmouth. That's what I paid for it, and it's from a great seller called Reborn Records. They do tend to turn up at London and Southampton fairs from time to time. They've always got really, really good stock. For a start, as you can see, yeah, purple vinyl. I kind of like the look of that. You know, that was a bit of a plus point. But it was, I think, labelled as kind of neo-psychedelia. I liked the cover, and I was like, yeah, I had the funds. Let's just take a punt. It's just nice to do it. So I went for it. What we've got, when was it recorded and released? It doesn't say on the back, but it was certainly around the late 80s or early 90s, and it sounds like it. This is kind of neo-psychedelic shoegaze music. Very, very good. Would appeal to anyone who likes things like, Early Ride, My Bloody Valentine, that sort of thing. If you like those sorts of things, you need to check this one out. But apart from that, I don't really know much about the band. They did a second album, which I've also got, which I don't rate quite as highly as this. This one is very, very good. But yeah, a complete punt. As I recall, I'm sure I possibly looked it up on Discogs just to get a sort of guide on the price, make sure I was not paying over the odds, but I wasn't, because Reborn Records, they always charge well. So, yeah, what more can I say? Another great one. It's worked out. They work out more than they don't, I find, these blind buys. So, yeah, very good indeed. So this next one I've shown recently, and I've shown it twice. I showed it when I bought it in the summer, and I discussed it after I played it. And this is by Cable Ties. The album is called All Her Plans. I got this in Southampton from Vinilo. It was priced quite cheap. I didn't really know anything about it, never seen it before, never heard of it before, but because it was priced low, I think it might have been reduced, and I like the look of the cover, I just thought, let's go for it. Fantastic. This is absolutely fantastic. They are a punk band, edging into post-punk as well. I love it. They're from Australia. Whether they'll ever come over here and tour, I don't know. I very much doubt it. But yeah, what more can I say? If punk's your thing, this is an essential listen. Absolutely essential. So it's released in 2023. It comes on this very nice kind of transparent blue wax. And they are just a powerhouse three-piece. 2 females and 1 male, which is a bit unusual. I think I said that before. But I remember discussing this the first time ever. The first time I played it, I remember discussing it on one of my spins videos and saying, yeah, this has got really potential. As time went on, it just grew and grew and grew on me. And I just think this record is brilliant. It goes from kind of really quite hardcore punk to sort of almost a bit of sort of melodic jangle pop in places. It's quite a varied record. The first 2 tracks are very shouty, very punky, but then it kind of mellows out into more variety, which is what I like about this record. It's really, really good. Fortunately, they've done other albums. They've done 2 studios and a live one, and I do aim to get those. I think I'm going to have to resort to Discogs for them. I don't know if I'm going to see them in the wild. But if your punk is your thing, I highly recommend you go and check this band out. I think copies on Discogs and eBay are relatively cheap at the moment, so please grab them while you can. Finally, right, what can I say? I don't like to be negative on this channel. I kind of don't show things that I don't really like, but this was part of the brief. So I've got to do it, and I've got an example. I don't hate this record. I don't hate it. I'm not saying this record is rubbish. It's just I'm not going to keep it. It's just not doing it for me. So it was bought in exactly the same haul as Cable Ties, and this is by Backseat Lovers. Again, it was cheap. It looked interesting. Now, again, like the Cable Ties, I discussed this on a vid after I played it once, and as I recall, I remember saying, yeah, the vocals are a bit generic. As time went on, I've replayed it. I even streamed it here on YouTube to listen to on headphones when I'm out and about. I can't do it. And the one thing that lets me down on this, it's the vocals. And it's such a shame because musically I quite like this one. It's quite a kind of experimental kind of indie folk album. It's got psychedelic touches. I find the music quite interesting, quite pleasing. But the vocals, oh no. How can I describe them? They sound what in my head I would categorise them as X Factor-ish. So what I mean by that, they sound like the sort of singer you would hear on X Factor or Pop Idol or one of those kind of shows. Not that I avidly watch any of that, but you can't escape them. Everybody knows what they're about and what happens. But they sound so commercial. They've got a kind of high-pitched, croaky, breathy quality, if you want to call it that, which it just doesn't sit with me. The vocalist sounds like he belongs in a modern-day boy band, quite frankly, and I think it can make or break a record, quite frankly. He reminds me of the singer. There's this song, and I am actually going to be brutal here about a song, and forgive me because music is subjective, but there's this song, I don't know who does it. It's Hey Delilah, Hey There Delilah. It's a well-known song. I can't stand the bloody thing because of mainly because of the vocals and the fact that it's so dull and boring. The vocalist on that sounds like this, which is a real shame because, as I say, musically it's really, really quite interesting. And I would go as far as to say, if you can get past it, I would recommend it. I'm not saying it's a bad record, but it's just not to my taste. And when I actually just checked back my video on Vinilo, and a viewer even commented to say that they'd streamed it and bought it. So someone out there likes it. So what? Do not be offended. Music is subjective. I'm not trying to rubbish this album. It is just not to my taste. So there we go. That is the album that didn't work out. The Backseat Lovers. Right. Okay, that's it. So I'm just going to sit back for a short while and just talk about blind buys a bit. Just wanted to do a little segment about what actually is a blind buy, or what I consider as a blind buy. When I buy these records, I've shown so many now, the channel's been going on, same as everyone's channels, going on years, dozens of videos. I'm sure most of us buy these records without hearing them before. Maybe we might have streamed the odd track, but most of us are going in blind. But I tend to only buy records that I know I've read about the band. They are on a label that I know about. They are from a genre that I'm into. So having not heard them before doesn't mean to say it's a blind buy. To me, a blind buy is literally rooting through something and you have never heard of it at the point of purchase. Now, I'm sure there's been many times, and I would be guilty of it as well, that out comes the phone, sneaky peek on Discogs, let's look at the genre, let's look at the selling, let's look at what it goes for, just to get an idea to make sure you're not buying something that's completely not going to work out. However, I would still say that is a blind buy. It is just something at the point of sale that you didn't know, looks interesting, and you go for it. And I must say, 9 times out of 10, it works out well for me. What's interesting about blind buys, when I was thinking about doing this video and just going through everything, there is nothing from kind of my favourite golden era of the late 60s, early 70s I've ever done as a blind buy. I don't think I've ever done it. The reason being is because albums from that era, if they're obscure, they're pricey. It's as simple as that. And you don't want to invest lots of money in something that you know nothing about. I tend to stick to albums, I would say from about 1980 to date. That seems a safe bet because obscure albums from the 80s seem to sell for peanuts. They don't get, even though they're rare, they don't sort of gather the momentum in value or price that the rare albums from the 60s and 70s do. Very, very strange. I prefer it actually. I'd rather pay less for a record and it'd be worth less sitting in my collection. I don't buy records for investment or value. That's not how I do it. But anyway, I'm going to start to go off topic and could sit here talking about this for hours. But yeah, you're going to get bored if I do that. So yeah, anyway, that's my entry. Just want to give a quick shout out to 2 other channels, 6 Inch Pianist and Mr. Shelf Stacker, because they both did entries on this, and they are the channels that led me to the competition to actually check it out and go and do it, and then led me to Craig Danger's channel, who I've now subscribed to. So anyway, as always, thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for more content, and I'll see you all again soon for another video. Take care of yourselves.